Yes, folks, welcome back to another episode of CamBro Conversations. And today we are talking about upgrading within the fitness industry during a pandemic and the mindset and resilience and some of the lessons we can take from that. To do so, we are joined by Ross McGaffney from Commando X Fit. Ross, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks very much, Colin. Thanks very much for bringing me in.
Delighted to have you on, Ross. And like I say, we've been connected for a decent period of time now through our mutual friend David Hatt of MTN Coaching, who's been another former podcast guest. And it's been fantastic to watch from afar how Commando X Fit has continued to upgrade during this period when a lot of people in the fitness industry have lost their heads, they've maybe gone to ground, some have pivoted into other spaces, but you've maybe stuck to your guns, but also continued to improve what's been going on there. So I'm looking forward to our chat.
Yeah, it's been a long journey this year. I think for everybody it's been a tough year. And for me, at the very beginning, it's like a fight or flight situation. I wasn't gonna sit down and just let things stagnate and stay still. It was a case of right, let's do what we can do right now instead of sitting back.
Yeah, and I think we'll go into that in depth throughout the chat today. But I think for the listeners, give us a little bit of a background on you and where you come from, Ross, because it's certainly a background that I enjoyed hearing about when you told me.
Yeah, so I'm from Coventry originally. So I joined the forces when I was 17 years old. Left Coventry straight down to Portsmouth, so Plymouth. Joined the Royal Navy as a young boy, signed up as an engineer. Did 4 or 5 years as an engineer. And wasn't the best engineer in the world, I'll be honest. And a few people will laugh at that after listening to this, but I transferred into the Royal Navy Fitness branch, so the PTI branch, which is an arduous 30-week course. You get sort of put through paces for 30 weeks solid. Early mornings, like 5 in the morning starts, finishing 7, 8 at night, and then from the evenings you go and study. And I won't go into the depths of what happens on the courses because it's pretty gnarly. But it was good. And then I spent the next 12 years, so I did 16 years in total as a PT, and then did my exercise rehabilitation towards the end at Headley Court. So I worked with guys that come back from Afghanistan and stuff like that with complex trauma. And did an intense study course for 7 months at Headley Court. And then finished up at Faz Lane.
Okay.
And then from Faz Lane is where I decided that enough was enough and it's time for me to do something different.
Yeah, so that military background that you've got straight into the kind of fitness element of it as well is quite a nice mix when it comes to your mindset, and I think that's probably going to be prevalent throughout our chat today when it comes to you utilising maybe some of the principles that were instilled in you from a young age as a young guy joining the Royal Navy.
Definitely.
Through to being the gym owner that you are today. And along the way, you obviously had an interest in personal training and coaching and supporting and training of military personnel.
Correct. Yeah.
And you've now brought that into coaching the general population, which is a style that you've had to adjust a little bit, but if not too much.
Yeah, a little bit. I think it was a shock to the system, leaving the forces and being that person when you deliver the sort of training that you're delivering to military personnel, Royal Marines, Royal Navy, Air Force, Army, it doesn't matter. And then coming to the civilian world was it was different, but it was good. A lot of traits that I've taken from my military career and brought forward have certainly benefited me moving forward into here to do what I was doing.
Yeah, I think it's positive when we use previous training, so to speak, previous life experiences, and we implement it at times when we're tested, and none more so than 2020, which of course we're going to go into on depth. But in terms of that military career and the training and whatnot, how do you think that impacted your decision to want to own your own facility? Because like you say, you were up at Faz Lane, you decided enough was enough. What happened then, and where did Commando come from?
So, during your training, during your military career, you are a yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full. So you are that disciplined individual. From day one, no matter what age you are, you're instilled discipline from the first day you start. And certainly doing the PT course just gives you that next level of discipline because they expect a very high standard of whatever you're delivering, whether it's your personal appearance, your physical abilities, your look, and the way you deliver your content as well to people. Because you could be delivering to the Admiral of the Fleet, you could be delivering to someone who's just joined the forces. So that variety of people that you're speaking to day to day is massive. So bringing that forward, the discipline that we have certainly instilled me to go, right, what am I going to do as a civilian? My initial thoughts on leaving were to leave the forces and go to Cayman Islands. Believe it or not, I had a friend out there, and we went through PTs together, and he opened his own facility, a Krav Maga facility, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he said, I would like to come out, and I was like, I was single at the time, no reasons not to go. So I went out and visited him, and that was the plan originally, go out, see what was there. And it wasn't the right choice. So I came back, and a friend of mine, Adam White, who's a Royal Marine Sergeant, hence the commando side of this, was talking about doing outdoor classes. And he was doing a commando conditioning class at Cameron House down at Loch Lomond, and he said, would you like to come along and we'll do it together? And from there we just pushed on. So every Saturday morning and Friday morning we'd go to Cameron House and do an outdoor conditioning class with tyres, ropes, boot camp style training without it being a boot camp. And it sort of evolved from there. There's a big journey from that initial class at Cameron House to where we are today.
Yeah, I certainly think when you talk about boot camps, I've seen the style of boot camp that you run, Ross, and it's certainly not your burpee. Well, there are some burpees in there, but it's not your press ups at this station, sit ups at this one, bicep curls at this one, and run shuttle run 10 meters at this one. It's very much a military style designed for general population to get as fit as possible to push them outside the comfort zone, which I think is fantastic. So straight away you teamed up with Adam and you built this boot camp, we'll call it, for the purposes of the branding, and that was titled Commando from his Marine background.
Yeah.
And that was the kind of branding from there. And how, like you say, there was a long journey. Let's give the listeners a kind of the Google Maps fast track tour of getting to where we are.
The fast track. So Cameron House classes evolved into us doing some outdoor tennis court classes in Helensburgh. Then we moved to Cardross. Adam was living in Cardross, and we went to there. We did a tennis court class there into a church field, and we did that for maybe 6 months. And then a guy came along, a friend called Chris. And they said, look, I've got a unit up in Hillington. Would you like to do something together? So he brought us up here. We looked at the unit. It was an old engines company. So we came in and it was greasy, needed a complete refurb, a complete rip out. And he'll laugh if he listens to this, but it took us a fair while to scrape back the walls and put some paint on the walls, because it was just that's from the military, mate. You know what we're going to do? Let's just get stuck into it.
Yeah.
And it took us a while, mate, to strip it right back, paint it, and it's changed its shape several times. Like the makeup of the property has changed several times and evolved each year. But yeah, myself and Adam got into it. Built the functional rig that you see in the gym when you walk through the doors, because that was the thing at the time, was functionality and fitness, and it was just coming to fruition really. But in the military, it was what we did for years and years. We did functional trainings. We carry people across the ground, we rope climbed, we did all these things. So for us, it was natural to just step into the world of fitness as this is what we're doing in the civilian environment.
Yeah, and it's such a different offering, and like I say, there's loads for us to cover today, but it's such a different offering from a commercial pure gym and exercise for less, a traditional maybe bodybuilding gym as well. It differs in that respect because, like you say, you straight away brought across the functional elements of fitness from the military that you guys do day to day, obviously being muscular and strong, but also being able to use it and having aerobic capacity and being able to take part in really challenging feats that might unsettle some people, because that's how you test yourself for battle, so to speak, if we're using kind of an extreme phrase. And I really like that idea, because I think more and more people, particularly over this lockdown period, discovered that maybe they are fit in terms of how they look or they wear, but when the gym's closed and you didn't have access to the same range of dumbbells and machines and hammer strength equipment, you were stripped back to the bare bones and you were like, am I actually physically fit? Could I go out for a 5k run? Correct, mate, yeah. Could I do the handstand challenge where I put on a t-shirt over myself? And that was one that I got roped into. And it's interesting how all these different little variants that we thought about maybe stripped us back to realise we aren't as fit as we could be. Whereas a gym like this, the majority of the users who are taking part in the classes and stuff like that are being tested across various modalities of fitness. Yeah, I mean, when people say they're fit, it's relative to what the individual's doing. So a cyclist is fit to cycle, a swimmer's fit to swim. So when people say, oh, I'm fit, well, what are you fit for? Fit for what? You play football, so you're fit to play football. Yeah. But what I find in here is the general population could take their training from here, certainly from the classes that we've delivered in the past, and transfer those skills into anything athletic-wise, whether it be rugby, football, basketball, gymnastics. It doesn't matter, because it's speed, it's agility, it's high-intensity training, it's strength work. All of these things are pulled together in these classes, and we've had various football teams in here, rugby teams, Gaelic football teams in here, professional footballers, professional boxers.
that have come through the door because they like the way we train, they like the way we deliver stuff. Alongside the strength and conditioning, when you strip it right back to an individual and say, right, how do we need to get you strong relative to your sport?
Yeah, I think that's such a key term, relative to your sport. And nowadays I'm talking about myself as an office athlete, and I'm thinking from an athletic perspective, am I as fit as I could be? And the answer was initially no, whereas now I'm very much trying to do more training that puts me outside of my traditional push-pull legs, hypertrophy focused comfort zone, and it's been extremely rewarding from a physical and performance perspective, but also from a mental perspective. There's a little bit of a misconception because it's Commando X Fit.
Correct,
some people wrongly brand that as Commando CrossFit.
Yeah.
Where does the misconception come from, and how do you differentiate?
I think when people see the facility they look at it and they see it like a box. So a CrossFit gym is generally called a box. And because at the beginning it was an open gym, it was a big space, there was a big functional rig, there wasn't a lot of machines or anything like that. It looked like a CrossFit gym, it definitely did. But we were, from the off, we're not a CrossFit gym, we don't deliver CrossFit. CrossFit for me is a brand, and a very popular brand, and they do amazing stuff, but it's also functional fitness on a higher level, on an athletic level for those that compete. We were delivering functional fitness for the general population, for everybody, without injuring people. Because I think at the beginning CrossFit got a bad name, but just because a lot of people were picking up injuries and niggles, just because there was probably some bad coaches out there, which there is across the fitness industry. So we sort of stripped it back, thought, right, how do we deliver a non-CrossFit based facility doing CrossFit workouts almost?
Yeah, I really like that in terms of like stripping it back from those that want to compete. And it's the same way, like if you go to a particular bodybuilding gym, a lot of the people there want to do men's physique or bodybuilding shows, whereas you can strip that back from there to achieve the physique that you want for the beach. And then for you, you're stripping back the style of training that you would have in CrossFit to a level that somebody who doesn't want to go to the sanctionals of the CrossFit Games, and I've been lucky enough to have a couple of guests on that are in that space, and they're fantastic athletes, but they train at a specific CrossFit gym, whereas you're offering elements of that training that people can take part in, but then other elements of the stuff that you've learned throughout your military career that you've done, from getting military guys in the best possible physical shape, but also physical performance elements as well.
Yeah, I mean, the guys, certainly the Royal Marines, that I've put on a pedestal because they are the fittest of the fit. They're the best of the best in what they do. They're the elite of the military, if you want to call them the elite, because obviously from there you go special forces, which is just a different breed of people, a different level. But the Marines are top of the tree. Their intense training that they do down at Livingston is phenomenal. It's great, but the PTs that deliver it have to do that course as well to deliver that level. But as PTs in general, we all have to be at a standard of fitness so that we can stand in front of Marines, Navy, Air Force. It doesn't matter. You just have that ability to do that. So bringing that forward into this environment was like, it was easy in a sense.
Yeah, I think the last strand to touch on with a kind of key differentiator before we go into all the challenges and the areas that we looked at within 2020 is the community aspect to Commando X Fit. Now, I've been at the gym 6, 7, 8 times, and the first time was before the most recent redevelopment that you did, and it was back in December 2019 with David. We came in and trained, and met yourself, and straight away you were in a friendly environment. And that's not to say, and I'm not being unfair to other gyms and saying that your environment isn't friendly, but if you think about a traditional pure gym or a JD gym, an exercise for less, where you punch in your code at the turnstile and you go in, there's no reception, which is fine, I'm not complaining about it, it keeps the cost in, I suppose, but you don't really network. Everyone's got their headphones on, everyone's focused on their own stuff. Don't get me wrong, I'm quite a sociable person, I've made lots of friends and connections through these other gyms, but when I came in here, everyone was interested in like, how you getting on? How's your training? I've not seen you here before. And it was a friendly community environment. Is that a focus that you've had?
Yeah, from day one. From the first day we went indoors, me and Alan had the conversations about what sort of facility do we want. We want everybody to feel comfortable to train here, because fitness is for everybody. It's not just for the athlete or the person that can change their body really quickly. It's for the person that struggles to get out of bed in the morning and really wants to get fit, but is fighting that inner demon to get them into the gym. So we're that place that you can come in here and talk to anybody in the facility, any of the coaches that are here, and they'll all engage at least for a few minutes and to find out who you are and why you're here. And I think at the beginning we had that misconception that we were quite a brutal facility. As soon as you hear the name Commando, people go, no, that's not for me. They're nuts. But you can push yourself as hard as you want to push yourself as an individual. If you wanted to come in here and just stand on the treadmill for 20 minutes and think, do you know what, that's enough for me, and that's fine. But naturally, in this sort of area, you'll see people doing other things and you'll want to engage in what they're doing. And over time, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, you'll progress your training into doing something completely different that you would never do in a pure gym or an exercise for less, because you go in, you put your headphones on, you step in the door. We all did it when we were younger. You go on the treadmill for 20 minutes, you push a few reps, shoulder press, chest press, pec deck, out the door, see you later. Take your earphones off. You haven't spoken to anybody, you haven't engaged with anybody, you've looked up a couple of people and thought, well, they're in good shape, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing what they're doing, but you would never do it. In here, naturally, you'll progress.
Yeah, I think I like the idea that you've got such a wide variety of people within the facility, like you say, and different abilities, but they can all feel that they can approach those other people, and I think that comes, and we'll come on to it as the episode goes, and I'm promising a lot to come later in this episode, but there certainly is, based on what we're planning to talk about. But because you've got so many coaches for a facility of your size as well, and so many personal trainers that have fantastic reputations, they're very approachable as well, and people do feel that they can get supported even if they're not already a client of that personal trainer. They feel that they can talk to whoever it is on the gym floor and they can get maybe a tiny little bit of advice, 3 or 4 minute chat, and they can move on and feel supported without necessarily parting with their cash initially. Obviously, long term, for that PT, it's a great environment for them to pick up clients, but it's also a great environment for people to feel supported and, like you say, scale up what they're doing with their fitness in a way that you just wouldn't do in a commercial gym because you don't feel unable to.
Yeah, I mean, like when we have the guys come in and there's been we'll talk about this again, but there's been a big change in the last year through the facility. But you find that, we've had various coaches through the doors over the last 6 years. We're going to year 6 now. And there are a lot of coaches that have come in and have worked or have PDs that are here that are no longer here. And the reasons are because they just didn't suit, they didn't fit. Maybe right for the time, but not right for now.
Yeah.
Evolution's a great thing and the gym's evolved. And alongside that, the people that have jumped on board are on board for the long term.
Yeah, and we're going, like I say, we're going to talk about this evolution of the gym. But first things first, I think it'd be remiss for us not to talk about, as a facility fitness owner, you talking about what has happened during 2020 in terms of in March we were hit with the news that we would be going into a lockdown. Initially, a 4-week lockdown that turned into 6 months of closure. How did you deal with that as an owner, and what were the challenges you faced?
I think it was January, and there was always this little whisper in the background that something was coming. We knew there was something in Asia, and no one. It was like a little bit of thought, it might happen, it might not happen. Some people were thinking, well, it will happen. So we just went with the flow and thought, we'll just carry on doing what we're doing. At the time, we had maybe 240 members, 250 members maybe. Some were sleepers, as natural gyms, we have sleeping members, and we all have them. And some were committed that had been there for a long time. And it was a case of, right, here it is, it's on us. It was instant. So I did an Instagram chat to everybody and said, look, this is happening. What I want to do is get you all some kit, first of all. Come in, sign a bit of kit out, and take it with you, because you don't know how long it's going to be. It could be 3 weeks, it could be 3 months, we don't know. And if you've got equipment, then it means you're likely to be more engaged with us, and also it's going to keep you at a good mental state for however long it'll be. No one knew it would be as long as it was or is still going on.
Yeah, I think that initial reaction, and we've spoken about this offline before, about you felt a responsibility for keeping your members going in terms of their ability to still partake in fitness and to still have that mental and physical escape from work, but also this pretty crushing environment in which we'd fallen into in terms of being locked in our houses for a long period of time with severe restrictions, which many of which continue to this day. So straight away, that maybe reinforces that whole community tagline that you've got, and it's really it's a marketing tool to say we build great community here at Commando. But when it comes to the crunch, you actually demonstrated that through how you supported
straight away. It was on a few different levels. Let's not be daft. It was the business needed to survive. So the only way the business would survive is if the members supported us. So we have to show that level of support to the people that were paying their memberships. So we put an email out to everybody saying, support us through the lockdown and we'll refund you whatever you pay over the 6-month period, over a 12-month period when you leave. So you get reduced membership once the gym reopens. Yep. So that's how we did that, so that no one lost his money. The gym remained open, we had an income, but we will pay you back over the 12 months after. So we kept maybe 160 members from that, and offered straight away Zoom classes, which I think everybody jumped on straight away. Zoom classes twice a day, once every day, and any content that they needed, they could just message me or the coaches that were helping me out. And we did that as a private Facebook group, and it worked really well. I think towards the end of that 6 months of Zoom classes, everybody was ready just to go, just get me to a gym. I just need to do something.
Yeah, and I think one of the other key elements to pull out of that is membership engagement, because ultimately when the gyms reopen, you need your members to come back and pay the full direct debit and support you and work with you. And if they're not remaining engaged throughout that period, they might be engaged by a coach from another gym who's putting out a free Zoom class or a paid Zoom class that they really liked, and they might move to that facility. So from a business perspective, obviously you had to be seen to be engaging with your members and maintaining that. And then again, it falls back on that principle of we're building a community here that are like-minded and want to strive towards fitness. One of the key challenges for any business during this period, and be no different for the fitness industry, was cash flow, because you would have had a lot of other pressures on you alongside the fact that you're not open. What was that like during this period?
Tough, really tough. Individually, so still had a family, still had a house, still had all the stuff that goes along with that. But because we weren't able to do anything, we couldn't go out, we couldn't go for meals or anything like that. It was like, okay, strip it back. What do we need? Let's survive. I said it earlier, it's fight or flight. You just got to look after yourself, protect your family, and make sure you're safe. And the same with the business. And a lot of companies offered to say, you can pause your Wi-Fi, you can pause your whatever it is, the gas bills, etc. So we did that, as everybody did. But at the same time, we had a big plan to extend the business and make it bigger. And that plan was there for 2 years. There was a changeover of business plan. I had a new business partner come in at the end of last year, beginning of this year. And we sat down and said, well, what are we going to do? Like, we can sit back and just stay at home, which we did for the first 4 or 5 weeks. And as soon as we were allowed, we said, right, let's do what we can do. And we stepped up and we pushed the gym forward.
Yeah, I think the fact that you continued to invest in the facility, and we're going to touch on all the different areas that you've done that during a period where, like you say, it could have been easy to sit back and stagnate and really be worried about whether you would reopen at all based on the circumstances that many kind of private facilities did face. And many businesses in other sectors, in particular outside of fitness, retail is one of the kind of most prevalent ones, in hospitality. They never reopened because of the cash flow pressures that were there. Did you receive any support that?
Yeah, I mean, as a business, the government put out the grants, and they put out the grants that we got. So the grant for us was the cash flow that we needed to go, right, let's do what we need to do. The grant could have sat in the bank, and we could have, as probably some businesses did, kept the money and put it to one side for like a rainy day, which is coming forward, or they could have spent it on cars, whatever people have done. For us, it was a case of, well, we've got planning permission, we've got everything in place to build the unit. Let's do it. Let's get it done. So we finished off. We had the steel on site already, which we'd already purchased, but it had been sat there for maybe a month before lockdown because we weren't sure what we were doing. And it was just a case of, right, it's there. Let's do it. Let's just push on, because if we don't, then we're going to be the same facility at the end of this lockdown, at the end of this era, and we won't have evolved when we have had this huge opportunity without disrupting members within the facility and everything that went with it to make it bigger.
Yeah, the key word that you said for me there, Ross, is evolved. And we spoke about evolution previously. What were some of the ways that the gym evolved during that period? You've spoken about the structural steel that was waiting there. You've spoken about the extension. What did that look like, and what did it mean to members?
The business has always been an exciting place to be. The gym was always an exciting place to be. But from the first couple of years, in my eyes, it needed to be bigger. There was something missing. And there's still something, not something missing from here, but there's something that I decided a long time ago that would work with the business that will go in next year. And I'll talk about that later. But it needed that extra space for the type of training we were doing. We were missing plate loadable stuff. We were missing a big cable machine. We were missing that space to throw bars about. So the area that we created and the space that it was put in has just given that Commando X Fit level the next stage.
Yeah, I mean, from a personal perspective, I came in, like I say, December 2019, and it was a great gym. There was the big functional rig, there was the dumbbell section, there was the upstairs section with the machines. But when I came in after the lockdown period and I walked through, and then there's the whole area through the back, this massive hangar, again kitted out to the nines in terms of the stuff that's in there with the racks and the platforms and the hammer strength plate loaded stuff. It was just like, yeah, we were good, but we decided to get better. And that's a mindset that a lot of people adopted during the lockdown period when maybe some others really struggled.
Yeah.
But the fact that you adopted that, I wonder if that comes from your military background as well, some of it?
Yeah, I think so. The facility and what it was delivering was functional fitness. So big open space, some pin machines, etc. And at the very beginning when we first opened, I was against treadmills. I was like, I don't want a treadmill in the facility. I don't want to be that commercial gym. I want to be different. That wasn't right. We needed something. So a couple of new treadmills came in, but that standard of what we were delivering just needed to be a little bit better, and we needed to bring that next level of client into the facility to make it what it is now. And by putting in the companies that we've used, like the three main companies we've used, Clyde Built, Primal Strength, and Wolverson, their kit's brilliant, and it's a right standard for what people need in a commercial facility. And looking at it from different angles, there's so much different stuff that people can come in and now use that they didn't have before.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the equipment you put in as well, it's clear there was no kind of expense spared. You went for the best of the best so that members benefited from not just this new space, but also the stuff that was within it. Because like I say, you could have built this space out and then cheaped out on the plates and the bars and the racks and whatever. Yeah. But some of them, like, you know what it's like with social media, Ross. I'm putting up photos of my story, like training at Commando X Fit with doing deadlifts, and it's all these new Wolverton plates or whatever. And people are like, where's this gym? Where's this gym? And the hype was real, but it was justified because you had invested during this period. The other area that I want to talk about in terms of expansion was the outdoor setting as well. Yeah. What happened there?
So there wasn't really a prominent factor in this. We weren't thinking, we're going to do that first, or that's important, we do that, until like 3/4 of the way through lockdown, and we thought, there's likely to be restrictions on indoor training when we come back. So, and it was actually my business partner that said, well, let's look at doing an outdoor area. So that's what's been good for me, is having that other person that can view the business from a different angle. Because as an individual, you look at something, yes, you can look at peripherally and see different stuff, but that other person that can see it from a different angle, and then you discuss it, and then you go, right, okay, that seems like a good idea. So straight away we said, what space have we got? The outside, it's a big yard, it's a big area. And to put the AstroSurf in was a fantastic idea. It really paid off when we were allowed to start moving from full lockdown into the little sort of reopening that you can call it, and it was like outdoor training is allowed. Okay, great, let's get people back in the door, social distance, hygiene, etc. outside, and it was a definite right answer, because it was the first thing we were allowed to do.
Yet again, it was just an example of being able to cater for your members and being aware of what they might need, because if you didn't have that there, it was maybe another opportunity for them to drift away from the gym, to not have the outlet for their physical and mental well-being, but also to lose their connection with Commando X Fit. Because if a gym another 10 minutes drive away was offering outdoor, you lose membership.
Yeah, straight away.
You start to bleed into your revenue. So for me, there's a lot within what you did during that period that underlines your commitment to your membership and your commitment to progression and evolution, is a term that you keep saying, Ross.
Yeah, it's true. It's so prominent in the last year. I think everybody as an individual has evolved mentally, physically. Some will have gone backwards a little bit, but that's personal circumstances. But I think if you haven't taken something from what's happened over the last 9 months, I think we're in now, then well, sounded bad, but you're a fool. You need to take what's in front of you and drive on. You can't just sit in your chair and go, I can't do that. I've been told I can't do it, so I can't do it. Well, why not? Get up, grow a set, and go and do it.
Yeah, and I think that's where your military background comes from, and that's why I love listening to a lot of kind of ex-forces members when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I think it always really benefits me. I think it'd be remiss of me, Ross, to not ask you about another area that you upgraded in the last 12 months, and that would be the affiliation with MTN Coaching and the man that kind of linked us together, David Hatt.
Yeah,
talk us a little bit through that.
I've known David for maybe 4 years. He came in with Cammy, so Cameron Watson. They both came in from, I think it was Exercise for Less and Renfrew, and they wanted to come in and rent space. At the time, like, yeah, great, no problem at all, come through, got to know the lads, fantastic boys, the pair of them. And Cammy stayed, doing his coaching here, and David drifted back and forward. He obviously travelled a bit. So through lockdown, we already had Dale Burke, so I just spoke to Dale before, who was coaching out here, and there was space. We changed and reset the system, I suppose, for the business, and who worked here. So we said, right, we've got scope to bring in different coaches and different people. So I had a conversation with David. As a businessman, it made sense. He had a very popular and extremely well-run online coaching platform. And I knew him as a person, so I respected his principles and his methods in training. And he said, well, there's a couple of guys who would like to come down, let's have a chat. And from that, we said, well, let's affiliate as a pair so that your coaches, can coach from here. And that's been one of the best things that we did.
Yeah, and I think we spoke earlier about the fact that there's so many good quality coaches on the floor for members to bounce off, even when maybe they're with a client, but you're somebody struggling on something, they're happy to come across, because that's the personality of the guys that MTN employ, which is great. But I mean, I kind of said this before we recorded. My opinion now is that Commando Fit is by far and away the best facility in the west of Scotland, probably even wider than that.
Thank you.
But you've now also got the most successful coaching company in Scotland in terms of the impact it's having. So the affiliation is one of two kind of really powerful entities that match each other well and add together to make a better offering for your members.
Yeah, definitely. And for a business, we have our own coaches, so I have staff that work for me that are PTs. But I don't expect clients of Commando just to PT with my coaches. They've got an open forum to choose from, because individually you'll pick somebody that you'll respect how they train and what they deliver. So there's an awful lot of clients from Commando that are training with the different coaches within Commando. And that's right. As an individual, you're free will, you're free choice to choose who you want to coach with. And the guys are fantastic. And all of them are just so good at what they do. Their content's great. They're respectful. They speak well to everybody. So for me, as a business owner, it was a no-brainer. And the guys have just, like, we had Dale and Ryan Holmes just come in, Ryan Atkin, and then we've had what's his name, Chantel, and Alex. So Alex is in as well. All fantastic guys. Get on really well with them. They understand what I want from the business and how I want them to portray themselves within the facility, and they're all doing it.
Yeah, it's that buy-in piece of shared values, and we said offline before we recorded was about good people, network with good people, and drive each other forward, and that's what's happened there with that affiliation. So you can quite clearly see there's been an investment in improvement, and evolution was that key term during this period to support members when they came back to not only the fantastic facility you had before they went away, but it's upgraded again. So welcome back. Yes, it's been a challenging period. Maybe financially you're not in the best position, but our offering and our value is as high as ever, if not higher. Which I would argue it is higher.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's a kind of key theme of what you've done during that period. So during this period of you increasing value, what's that resulted in terms of like memberships and inquiries and outcome?
I mean, we are. I think we're definitely at capacity. So for me, we have maybe 20 to 30 memberships that we could sell. And my fear is, I'm not sounding big-headed, if I put that online, then they would sell instantly and it would overrun. And I don't want to do that. So I leave them sort of floaters, and then people can jump in if some of the PTs have new clients and come in and say, look, so-and-so wants to join, is that possible? So yes, because I've got this little gap of memberships that I can use.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound like an absolute arrogant asshole. I'm not, but people want to come here, and people ask all the time, is there space? And I just need to make sure that the people that are in here have the space to train, have the equipment to train, and it's not overrun.
Yeah, if you bring that value, and like you say, you don't want to be arrogant, but if you're bringing such value, of course, inevitably customers want to get involved in that, and that's where you've got a right to be confident in what you've built. And judging by looking around at Commando, there's still space as well. So there's still future plans to come to continue to increase that offering. But you've got different membership tiers as well, don't you? Because obviously you offer your classing. Do you want to talk to the listeners a little bit about what that looks like?
We have 3 tiers. So we have at 9 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. So for let's say for mums or dads who are looking after the children, drop them for school and pick them up at 3 o'clock, a cheaper membership that can come in, choose throughout the week, Monday to Friday, and they get access to the two or three classes that are in during the middle of the day. And then we have a gym only membership, which is come in, use the facility as much as you want, 7 days a week, and it's a little bit cheaper than the full membership. And the full membership is full access to the gym with all the classes as well. So those 3 tiers work really well. If some of the guys coach or are doing PT with some of the PTs that are in here, they get a little bit off, not an awful lot, but a little bit just to encourage them to stay with their clients. But generally, the pricing structure works really well. We do a discount for ex-military. Obviously, I'll move that straight away. Emergency services, NHS. So we need to make sure that we look after the people that are doing the frontline stuff.
Yeah, from a business perspective, straight away with my sales head on, that's fantastic because you're giving people different offerings and there's kind of tiered options for them to choose from. Because equally, if you do fall into that bracket where 9 to 3 you can train and but outside of that you couldn't, that's fantastic because you get a little bit of money off, but you're still getting access to facility for maybe a more affordable cost, and then all the way up to the kind of top tier offer where they get access to absolutely everything at any time and any classes they want. They're more than happy to pay for that, and probably the vast majority of members fall into that tiering as well, which is obviously kind of validation for what you're offering there. So for me, Ross, like we've spoken about the evolution of the gym, we've spoken about you coming through those challenges. We recently had the kind of 3-week closure again. Yeah. You kept it going with the outdoor classes though, didn't you? Yeah,
so we were allowed to do outdoor sessions, small groups, social distancing, all the relevant stuff that we have to do. I smile about that because I think everybody is at that stage now where they don't want to hear the word COVID, social distancing, lockdown, or anything like that ever again.
Yeah.
Certainly in 2021, but I'm sure we will. And so for us, it was a case of, look, we still need to keep people engaged. We still need to keep people active within the area, within the tiered system that we're in, and maintain a level of mental health for people. Because I think this far into what we've done, people are starting to get annoyed with life, annoyed with wearing masks, annoyed with being told to step away, or you can't do this, you can't do that. So I try to bring some level of normality back to their life, and this is what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to you again quite candidly on the phone when we were organising this about when I was working at home and the gyms were closed. I needed to make sure I was getting away from my laptop desk to train because it's such a fundamental part of my lifestyle and my well-being. It goes well beyond how I look in the mirror and if I can take a good selfie for Instagram for my page, Ross. It's about getting away from that laptop and the world of sales and business and insurance into, right, okay, well, I'm physically looking after myself, I'm mentally looking after myself, I'm not looking at my screen, I'm not stressed about an email or a call I need to make. This is all about me and putting myself into that. And in the height of a pretty unpleasant November, December, you were still able to deliver for your clientele.
Yeah.
And I saw some of the videos, and if she's listening, Helen Matthews will laugh because you were absolutely flogging her out there in the rain, which was brilliant. But it was such a good environment. Like, they were all having a brilliant time. They came dressed for it because they knew what was coming.
Yeah.
And they knew they could go for that hour of their day and escape from that. And that's why, again, there's no secret to my thoughts and Ross's too, in terms of we believe the gym should be open regardless of the tiering that you fall into, much like they've now secured in England.
Yeah.
We're very hopeful that the Scottish Government will follow in those steps. But it just shows the importance for many people from a wide variety of backgrounds, because many people that attended your online class, Ross, are not people that want to be absolutely shredded on their holiday next year. No. They're just normal people who work normal jobs that want to exercise.
Yeah, they need it. You know, we all need it. And those that don't train probably don't understand that. But I'm sure if they start to do some form of exercise, which I think a lot of people probably have over the last 6 months, have now found that new lease of life where you do a little bit of exercise, you get your endorphin rush, and all of a sudden life's better. Yeah. And it's so true. You know, you wake up in the morning and you feel groggy, you feel tired, and everybody wants to train at different times of the day. So we put 2 classes on in the morning, 2 in the midday, 2 in the evening, so that every single person had the ability to come and do something and actually feel normal and be able to turn their brain back on to do whatever they need to do. Because a lot of people are working from home. A lot of people are working in an office sectioned away from somebody where they can't have that normal interaction they would have in an office space. Yeah. So it's almost being locked in a box all day, and then what can I do? That little bit of exercise, a little bit of fitness, a little bit of banter you throw in, we have a little bit of crap. I'm not a funny guy, I'm not making out to be a funny guy, but that little bit of banter for people just makes it a little bit better.
It's so important, and I'm fortunate that I work from home and live with my brother. Well, I'm fortunate in some ways, unfortunate in others, but if I didn't go to the gym at 5:30 and see 3, 4, 5 other people, not all trained together, of course, socially distant, don't worry, Nicola, don't shut me down, but that is what I need to feel fulfilled, because otherwise it's all over screens, or I can talk to my brother who I live with and work with as well. So it's incredibly important that we have that outlet, and fingers crossed that we manage to secure that moving forward. Couple final things to touch on, Ross, before we close off the episode. You and David Hatt have a pretty big challenge coming up in 2021, the 24-hour charity challenge. Talk us a little bit through what that is and how people can maybe show their support.
So it was moving on from the beginning of lockdown. We did a Murph challenge, so Murph being the CrossFit workout. We did Murph every day for 5 days to raise money for the NHS. At the time, that was the thing that we needed to do. It was relevant. It was at the forefront of everybody's minds that we need to do something. So over the last month or so, and I spoke about it last year before we decided to extend the business. I thought, right, when we have a grand opening, we'll do a big 24-hour challenge. We'll do a workout every hour on the hour, just for the opening of the gym. But coming towards the end of this, how difficult it is for families and for people in a really bad situation. And there is an awful lot of people in a really bad situation. I think some people think they're in a bad situation, like they can't go and buy the new iPhone, or they can't go on holiday this year. But let's be fucking real. There's some people that are really struggling. They have no money to buy food. They have no money to buy toys. No money to go and buy toiletries. And that's the reality of what the country is in at the minute. Across the board, England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, we're all in a bad place. So what do we do as individuals to make someone's life a little bit better? And it could be the smallest thing. It could be a bag of shopping. It could be a toy for a child. That small thing that you can do can make someone's day and can make their Christmas. So we're doing it. So I've decided that we're going to do on the 8th of January. It was going to be last week. So again, it's a little bit delayed. Reasons being, we won't talk about that, David Hatt. But David's away at the minute, and he was adamant that he wanted to do this with me. So we're doing it on the 8th of January in Commando, 6 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock Saturday morning. On the hour, every hour, we'll do a workout. And the workouts won't just be a little bimble on the bike or a little chill on the cross trainer or anything like that. We're going to work out properly. And yes, it's going to be disgusting, but do you know what? As a facility that we are and the person I am, people wouldn't sponsor what we're doing unless it was gnarly. People want to see someone suffer. So they're going to see us suffer. That's fine. I'll take that suffering if it means that someone else can benefit from what we're doing.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to any charity challenge, it has to be stimulating enough for people to take notice of it. Correct. So that requires you and David to go to the Hurt Locker, which
definitely Hurt Locker. It's going to be brutal,
which is important. And I think so much of what you said there is kind of, and I joke about in the podcast sometimes with my guests, that's a total mic drop moment. And it's so important that we do take this perspective that at the moment we are all restricted in how we're living our lives. However, if you're probably lucky enough to be listening to this on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, you're in quite a fortunate position that you could potentially help others. And we're not saying you need to give to every charitable cause, but there are definitely charitable causes that you can step up and get involved with. And many of you that follow me on Instagram will see me share more just giving links than I've ever done before, or charity pages, because during this period, charities have really suffered. They've not been able to do on-street collections. London Marathon, huge events have all been cancelled where they would get millions of pounds worth of sponsorship across various different charities. So this is where we need to take slightly more individual ownership, and Ross has spoken about ownership and mindset and evolution during this podcast. This is an ability for us to support a cause. So if you are in a fortunate enough position, please get involved and provide some support for the 24-hour challenge, because I'm really looking forward to seeing Ross absolutely flog David on the assault bike and on the runner. What's the runner called that you have?
The assault runner, yeah.
The assault runner. My goodness, I was like Bambi on ice when I ran on that. So we'll see how you guys get on, but when it's workout 8 of the day.
Workout 12 and we're in the absolute pain game. So yeah.
To progress that. So obviously we'll be directing people to that off the back of the podcast, Ross. I think today's been a really valuable conversation because we've had so much to talk about that people can take from that maybe just aren't in the fitness space, but also people who have just a general mindset for self-improvement. And you've taken the bull by the horns during a period that's been really difficult. You've done it from a community aspect, a well-being aspect, but obviously ultimately for a business perspective to make sure that you're still here and still providing that service long-term. I've put my neck on the line and said you're one of the best facilities in Scotland. And if I'm right in saying a day pass is £8 normally?
£8, yeah.
Okay, cool. So Ross and I have come to a bit of an agreement, and he's smiling at me here, that if you take a screenshot of this and you pop it on your Instagram story and you tag me and you tag Commando Fit, and we'll give you the Commando X Fit, and we'll give you the handle to do so, and you show it at the desk when you come in, you'll get a discount on your pass. You'll get £3 off your pass.
£3 off your pass and come and use the facility.
You can try out the best facility in the west of Scotland for £5. So there we go. There's a little bit of a gamble for you to get the message out there in terms of sharing Ross's perspective and mindset and how they've continued to upgrade. But you also can try a facility that is absolutely top notch. Last thing to ask you then, Ross, is where's the best place for people to connect with you?
So we are, Instagram is our main platform. We're on Facebook as well. So it's Commando_X_Fit. That's where you'll find us. You'll see a lot of content on there, and the people that work here, we do post stories, etc., just to see what we're doing. And the bio for the charity challenges in there as well, where you can do whatever you can do, or throughout the challenge from the 8th, from 6 a.m. in the morning, or before then, if you want to come in before, bring a bag of food, toiletries. On the post that we've put up on social media, it tells you exactly what the Crookston community group need, and that's who we're doing it for. Please do whatever you can.
There's so many ways that you can support that challenge, a couple of different ways you connect with Ross. All of that will be in the show notes below. I can't wait to hear your feedback. And like I say, I expect to see lots of you tagging us in the stories and getting yourselves down to Commando for a big session. I'll be back to speak to you all again very, very soon.